Hey everyone, this is Athletes and Antiquities, and for today's Card of the Day episode, I'm going to be talking about one of the strangest people in the Pokemon space and his equally strange cards that revolve around him. So for today's Card of the Day, I want to talk about one of my favorite cards in the entire hobby, which is the Shining Imakuni. It was a fan club promo in 2002 in Japan, and the art itself is so unique, which is why I love it. But before I get too in-depth on this card itself, I really want to talk about Imakuni himself, because a lot of people, either younger viewers or newer fans of the hobby, might not really be aware of who Imakuni is, because he's a very interesting story, and he's much more tied to the origins of Pokemon than people realize. So Imakuni's full name is Tomokai Imakuni. He is a Japanese musician who made some music for the Pokemon anime as it was first starting off. He made some of the original soundtracks, which is how he got so tied with the Pokemon franchise so early on. And once he started making that music, he kind of his eccentric personality kind of took over, and he became sort of a promoter for the hobby, for the franchise itself. He would go to events, he would go to tournaments for the game, he would go to like video game releases, stuff like that, and he would wear these very unique outfits, was a very over-the-top eccentric guy, and would basically just promote the franchise. And he got extremely popular. And once he got really popular, he started to do other things. And one of the things he did was he started illustrating cards. But the way he did illustrate these cards was very unique compared to other artists that were working with the franchise. And it was unique in the sense that most of his arts were very bizarre. He had a few normal arts, like base set Porygon. He drew that one. If you look in the bottom corner, it says Imakuni. But a lot of his arts, like this one, they're bizarre, cartoon-like illustrations that are often about himself or included himself in some capacity. So this is portraying the person. This is Imakuni. But he has a lot of cards like this too. So I'm going to show some other ones before I get into Shining Imakuni. This card here is Dance Neo Imakuni. It's a weird hybrid between like a trainer card and a playable card. It's not actually playable, but it has like an HP of an exorbitant high of 2000. And one interesting thing about this card, actually two interesting things. There's some things that kind of set this apart. The first one is this was the first card to ever break outside of the border. So a lot of people associate that with Gold Stars. Gold Star, like Rayquaza, his claw is coming outside of this picture frame. But this Dance Neo Imakuni is actually the first card to do it. You can see how his like bottom leg thing is reaching out below it. And it's very interesting. He has like a little sketch that's like printed on the card of him like editing his own card, which is very interesting. Just a really unique card. There's some other ones. He made a lot of cards that were in the vending series. So like these are two cards you can get from that. This one is by far the most unique. It's barely even a card. Like it's not in the traditional layout, but it was released with official Pokemon cards. This one is just called Lose ? And there's not a lot of flavor text for it. It's basically just implied that as a joke, if you play this card, you lose the game. That was the effect of this card. It's like, I guess, kind of a trainer card, but not really meant to be actually played, more of just like more of a joke. And he has other cards, like in the vending series, there was a card called the Pass card, which you would send the Pass card and Bill's PC to Pokemon, and that's how you would get those trade evolution cards that everyone wanted so badly. You'd like get them through the mail, but then Imakuni made a joke version of that. It's a Pass card, but instead of the Bill's PC, it's Imakuni's head in a computer, and it's very, like, it looks like it's very stylized, like he drew it himself. Very just unique cards that Imakuni's making. He has some more modern ones. Well, actually, before I get in that, there's in the Neo series, he made some other ones like Lucky Stadium. This was an actual playable card. There's not like a joke in the text itself, but just the illustration is it's very Imakuni-like in the way he drew it. Of course, he included himself, his favorite Pokemon Doduo. Just kind of they set themselves apart. And there are other cards like in XY Evolution. There was an Imakuni supporter, it was also made as a joke. It's actually I thought it was a secret rare, but it's not. But in this Imakuni card, your active Pokemon is now confused. It just purely hurts yourself. But just cards like this that he would just make for fun. And this one is strange because it's an actual photograph of him. It's not an illustration. Like if you notice, on all these cards, there's an illustrator. So sorry, there was a glare. Illustrator, Imakuni. This one, illustrator. This one has his full name, Tomokai Imakuni, in the bottom corner. I don't know if you can see that. But all of these are illustrated by Imakuni except for this one. This card has no illustrator on it because it's just a photograph of him doing some weird hand signal. It's just very, very interesting, bizarre stuff. Of course, his favorite Pokemon is Doduo, as you've seen on a few cards here. So they made an Imakuni's Doduo, illustrated by Imakuni, of course. And it's him with like a shepherd's, I don't know, something, chasing his Doduo. And the attacks are all a joke. Like for Harmonize, you have to if you want to pause, you can read it. You have to like sing a song in the middle of the game. His Pokemon power, you have to throw the card. It just like kind of ridiculous things. And this one actually says in the bottom, because this looks like a real card. This one actually says this card cannot be used in official tournaments. It's more of just a fun thing with friends. But this is actually a secret rare. This one's 1/112 out of 108, I believe, from Evolutions. But so all these cards just kind of have their own unique flair, but they're all very cartoonish. But then you see this card. And this card, I think, is his best card, because there's a lot of layers to it. So first of all, it's creepy. A lot of these cards, they're very childlike and kind of amusing, but this has almost like a creepy, unsettling tone to it, of this like hand shining a flashlight in Imakuni's face. He's kind of looks like he's like cowering from it. But the reason why this card is like this is actually pretty interesting. So when this card was being released, the Neo series was coming out, and they had shining cards. And these shining cards were shiny variants of a card, of a Pokemon, but it was primarily a silhouette. So instead of an illuminated, like very clear picture of a Pokemon, it was just a silhouette, a dark outline of that character with like a textured foil on it. And so because of that silhouette, this card is basically poking fun at that design with shining Imakuni. So it's them literally shining a light on Imakuni, so like it would portray that silhouette that all of the shining cards had. Another very unique thing, this one actually also says not legal for tournament play down here, but it's in Japanese, unlike the English cards. So I just thought I'd kind of go over that a little bit. These cards, not a lot of people talk about them. Some of them are modern cards, like the Evolutions ones everyone knows about because they came out very recently. But this card was a bizarre promo from 2002. There's less than 100 in the PSA registry, like in total. Not even just like 8 and above, like in total that have ever been graded, there's less than 100. So there's not that many out there, at least, that have been submitted yet. Not a lot of people talk about it. It's not a super expensive card, but it's just a very kind of a unique story. And once you couple it with the lineage of strange Imakuni cards, I feel like the appreciation for the card is so much higher. Because if you just see this card on your own, you're just like, oh, okay, it's kind of bizarre, you know? It's off-putting, but, you know, whatever. But once you understand, like, who Imakuni was, it makes the whole set that you have here much more interesting. And they all kind of have, even though they're all so different, especially the Lus in the back, they all have this similar theme of just kind of like lightheartedness, which is what Imakuni basically represented for the hobby. So I just thought I'd show off one of my favorite cards and use it as an excuse to show off some lesser popular cards of his, and kind of just tell his story. So yeah, if you find that interesting, let me know. If there's a particular card you want to see, let me know. I'll see if I have it. I can make a video about it. But yeah, thanks. Take care.